We do a lot of content here on the channel with firearms chambered for rimfire cartridges, and a question that I often get is it safe to dry fire those firearms that use rimfire cartridges? Well, today we're going to see if we can answer that question. Hey crew, it's Chris with CloverTac and welcome back to the channel. Now, before all the comments start, yes, I'm 100% aware that the ability to safely dry fire firearms is going to depend a lot on the make, model, and the design of said firearm. Now be sure that you stick around to the end of this video because I'll have some bonus information when it comes to rimfire cartridges. For those that are new to the channel here on CloverTac, we talk about all things firearm related. So if you're into that sort of thing, jump down and smash that subscribe button. And while you're there, you want to stay up to date on all the new content, well, go ahead and click that notification bell as well. So let's real quickly go over the difference between rimfire ammunition and centerfire ammunition. Now with rimfire ammunition, in order for that round to be fired, the firing pin of said firearm has to strike the rim of the cartridge because that is where the priming compound is located. With centerfire ammunition, obviously, and as the name would suggest, the primer is located in the center of the cartridge. Therefore, the firing pin on that firearm must strike the center of that cartridge in order for it to be fired. Now, when you dry fire, what you're doing is basically going through the motions of firing that particular firearm without a round in the chamber. Now, when you fire a centerfire firearm, that firing pin is going to simply move forward into the empty space in the chamber. Typically, you don't have any problems. Now, before a bunch of comments start, yes, I'm fully aware, depending again on the design of the firearm, that some centerfire firearms out there, particularly older revolvers, really not a good idea to dry fire those. Now, in contrast, when you dry fire a firearm chambered for rimfire ammunition, as that firing pin moves forward, there is not the case rim that is in between that firing pin and the chamber face. Having that rim in between those two is great because cartridge cases are typically a much softer metal, such as brass. When it comes to problems you can encounter from dry firing a firearm chambered for rimfire ammunition, I can think of two. The first is going to be the firing pin itself can become flattened, bent, broken, or damaged in some other way. The second, and honestly the most common problem that I see from this, is that firing pin actually strikes the chamber face. And this will eventually wear a little groove, can even push some metal burrs down into the chamber itself. What that's going to do is create a situation to where you start having problems feeding and extracting that rimfire ammunition. Now, obviously, if you damage a firing pin, that's just going to have to be replaced. However, if you have those burrs that end up in the chamber, that can usually be solved with a little chamber ironing tool, and most gunsmiths out there probably have that tool or at least something similar to get that job done. Before we get to the bonus for the day, I'd like to know if you've experienced any problems dry firing your firearms. Be sure to jump down in the comments below and let us know. And finally, when a conversation comes up about rimfire ammunition, you'll often hear talk about how it's not reliable. Well, there's a little bit of truth to this just simply because of how that priming system works. Again, with a rimfire system, that priming compound is spread around the rim of the cartridge, and it doesn't always get spread evenly. So when the firing pin comes forward, if it strikes a spot on that rim that does not have any compound, well, it's not going to go off. And this is really common in some of the cheaper bulk ammunition. And as you get a little bit higher in price, a little better quality, and certainly with match grade ammunition, this becomes less and less of a problem. So there you go, crew, a little bit of info on what can happen when you dry fire those firearms chambered for rimfire ammunition and why that might not be the best thing to do. Remember, if you have questions, you can always hit us up down in the comments below. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. And until next time, don't forget to chain fire freedom.